Mitch is Vic starting again.
We're getting to that spot where we're actually still arguing about it.
So it's possible tonight that could finally change?
Possible.
Okay.
It's getting close.
What was the thinking on sending Carter to Austin, and will he have more assignments there?
The thinking was just that I wanted to provide him an opportunity to play 25 plus minutes and sweat, compete, and go try to help his team win and fight for a little bit more than some of the more limited opportunities gotten with us. And I thought he did a great job. And it's not really a long term. Are we going to send him back there or not? I just thought it was the right time, and I thought he did a good job, and I'm happy he's with us now.
When you have those arguments, do you use like your inside voice like you do with us here, or is it like your on-court voice?
Yeah, no, it's a collaborative effort. So if I lose the vote, they have to convince me, but I'm good with that.
I guess having time now with Victor and whatever you want to call the protocols that he has anything changed, or you learn anything about how to manage him physically or how to manage him game plan wise?
I think what we've learned is Victor and our players have allowed us as an organization and our staff, and then obviously I have to be the one to make the call, but to not worry about traditional norms, outside noise, expectations, whatever it may be, and we collaborate and discuss all the variables and whatever we feel like is the best decision for that game and that night without trying to get too cute or play a Victor game or not think about how it affects the rest of the team or what it may be. And so there's a lot of variables that go into it, and I think we have the appropriate collaboration and discussion with the people involved to get to where we feel we're going to get to for that discussion or that night or that game.
Do traditional norms exist when working with him, or did you have to kind of come up with a whole new game plan for how to work with Victor?
I don't know, but I guess there's traditional initial thoughts, right? So I think some of those may be norms. I guess I shouldn't be the one that defines those, but I think there's some expectations regarding him, whether that's how many minutes he plays, does he start or not, where he plays on the court, where he catches the ball. And so a lot of that is always being discussed, and I understand and respect that, and doesn't mean we have to listen to it.
Mitch, you've got three excellent lead guards in De'Aaron, Stephon, and Dylan, all at relatively different stages of their careers. What have you observed about kind of how they work together in practices, the chemistry they've developed, do they push each other? What have you kind of noticed over the last few months?
How willing they are to complement each other and how willing they've been to try to help each other. And I think that's something when you talk about different parts of their career, it's easy to put the lens on from any of their perspectives and understand why it would be difficult to sacrifice or to share as much as maybe they would for if they were on another team without the type of talent with a similar skill set. And I think that's what has allowed us to feel good about what's happened, and then also, more importantly, to grow them all together and not be worried about can they play together, are they redundant, are the skill sets, whatever, again, the narratives may be. Their willingness and enthusiasm, I think, to play with each other has been the key for it. And then, obviously, us learning how to play to their strengths and help each other when they're out there together, when we see different types of coverages or schemes, is our job, and I think we'll continue to get better at that.
What made Luke a target for you guys over the offseason, and what has he brought in the first year here?
I think he's been a guy that, going back to the start of his career, obviously had to earn his way in this league to be a rotational player, but proved here, obviously at the highest level, that he could star in his role and help players around him on the court. And I think it's really hard to find guys in this league to do that almost exclusively at times without the basketball. And then I think he also provided a similar style, even though he's not a similar player, so to speak, as Victor, but how we wanted to play. And we felt like we could play with them both and then potentially them actually both together and not necessarily change the lion's share of how we wanted to play.
You were saying this morning it was a difficult decision to leave Boston. Were you part of the process of trying to convince him, trying to recruit him, that whole thing, or did you kind of leave that to front office?
I was not. Yeah, they didn't trust me in that part.
You're outside of San Antonio. You're probably one of the more lesser known NBA coaches. Like, you can walk into a room and scream NBA coach. You're just kind of a under the radar guy. Has that helped your journey? And have you kind of reflected on getting to this level, and and kind of said, wow, like, from what you've been through, what you've endured, and kind of had a chance to reflect, or are you just still caught up in the whole trying to get this thing on the road?
Yeah, definitely haven't had a ton of time to reflect, but I understood a long time before I got this position that I was not a prototypical profile that you sometimes see walking sidelines in terms of I've never played in the NBA, and I'd only been with this organization in the NBA, and I think there's been a few of us now, but a little bit younger than some of the NBA coaches around the league. So there were some factors that went into that, but yeah, I think there's enough going on that I don't stop and think about it too much. But when it gets brought up, I understand it and acknowledge it, and don't feel one way or not about it.
And you, Charles Lee, Joe, like guys who didn't play in the league, is that a motivation, you think? Younger coaches maybe come up to you and said, hey, I think I can do this also?
Not a motivation, but I think it's it's a proof of concept that you just have to be yourself. And there was a lot of things that I'm sure went into, I am sure that went into Joe and Charles and Will Hardy and so on and so forth, of all these coaches that are around that same age range as us that did not play in the NBA, that went into things. It just wasn't as on a bigger stage. But the people that know us probably are a little bit more aware of our journeys than the outside world, and that's okay. And everyone started somewhere. Greg Popovich was at Pomona Pitzer. He talked about that a lot. So it doesn't get forgot about that you got to start somewhere.
Anybody else? Mitch.